Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in, much appreciated. And today we're going to have a little bit of it's not really a tip, but it's sort of a discussion that's been on my mind a lot, really the last couple of years. And that is, just like the title said, are we loving the sport of bass fishing to death? And really the point of this video here, as much as anything, I'd like to get everybody's feedback on this. I'm going to offer you guys some of my thoughts on it, and I'd really like to get a conversation started up and hear everybody's thoughts on this, because I don't know if it's something that gets, I think some people probably think about it from time to time, but overall I don't think it is, because in bass fishing, I've been, like I said, doing this full-time for a living for close to 35 years now, and I've worked with a lot of sponsors, been a part of the tournament organizations, it's just been my life for 35 years. And the entire vibe, or the entire goal, whether you're working with a sponsor or organizations or whatever, it's basically to grow the sport, to get the sport bigger, to get more people involved in fishing. And I sort of got thinking about that a little bit, and it's like, yeah, it's good to get more people interested in fishing, but at the same time, at some point, that that goal of getting more and more and more people into fishing is going to come back and have a negative impact on the resource. So that's what I sort of wanted to talk a little bit about this, get everybody's vibe on that, sort of let you know what I've seen. And I'll go back, from, when I started fishing. I'll go back from some of my early days. When I started bass fishing, my early memories were, back in the late 60s and the early 70s, when my mom and dad would take me down to Table Rock Lake and Grand Lake down there to, we didn't do a lot of fishing, but we did a lot of just, playing around on the lake, that type of stuff. Did a little bit of fishing, but not a whole lot. And one thing that I can remember about that is you just didn't really see that many boats out. There were some, but you didn't really see that many. And then as it got more into like the mid to late 70s, actually the late 70s, early 80s, particularly right around the time I was a senior in high school and I graduated in 1980. So right around the time I graduated high school and a couple years after that, that's when I started going to the lake a lot by myself with my little junky boat, my little flat bottom. And I got a good gauge as far as, how many people were fishing the lake. And back then, you just didn't have that many tournaments on the lake. There were, there was like, in the summertime of the year, there would be like occasional buddy tournaments. Not a lot of them. You'd hear about, there'd be a Chamber of Commerce tournament, or there'd be some benefit buddy tournament, but it's not like they were every weekend. They were like every 2 or 3 months. And then you may have some club tournaments or something like that. And very rarely would you have a big tournament. And back then it would have been something like, Western Bass or some big regional circuit, but there wasn't many. There just was not much bass fishing tournament, pressure on the lakes. And there wasn't that much bass fishing pressure in general. I mean, a lot of the people back then that fished, from what I can remember, there was a lot of catfishing going on, crappie fishing, that type of stuff. But what we've seen now is, like, if you fast forward from, say, 1980 to 2021, it's not even in the same universe. I mean, now in almost every man-made lake across the country that you go to, there's literally tournaments almost every single day. There's jackpot tournaments during the week. There's, big tournaments every weekend on the lakes. There's, constant club tournaments. There's tons of recreational, pressure. I remember up at Stockton Lake, when I started going up at Stockton Lake in the early 1980s, most every single time I went up there, there wasn't anybody at the ramp. Nobody was up there. I mean, even on a weekend, there wasn't many people. You rarely saw people on the lake. And now the parking lots are half full any day you go up there during the week. So I've seen a well beyond what you call a dramatic increase in the amount of pressure that our lakes have received over the past 40 years. Okay, so the point of what I'm talking about, let's fast forward another 50 years down the road. When everybody that's watching this video, most everybody's going to be, off in some different realm at that point. We're not going to be here. But if you fast forward to our children and our grandchildren 50 years from now, and you continue seeing the sport growing, you continue getting more bass fishermen on the lakes, and you don't have any more lakes being built. The resources that we have now are the ones that we have. So you put a combination of recreational bass fishermen, tournament bass fishermen, and there's nothing to say there's not even going to be more tournaments coming up. And then you have all the other anglers that fish for species other than bass. I can't really imagine anything positive coming out of that type of growth over the next 50 years. I mean, I look for it to be frustrating. That going to the lake is not going to be what it was 40 years ago, or like it is now. It's going to be something where you're fighting for a spot. It's going to be like some of the Japanese lakes that they have to deal with now, where you'll have 10 boats fishing the same point. So I think, and here's the thing about it, it's like you can't tell people they can't fish, but it's like, what is the solution to this? I mean, what is the solution to the situation we have, that we're basically we love the sport to death, and it's basically putting more pressure on our lakes and the fish than they can possibly handle? I mean, how do we deal with that? And I don't really have an answer to it. I mean, there's some things that you could possibly, you can regulate tournaments more and not have as many tournaments on the lake, but then, you're still going to have the recreational and the people that just want to bass fish out there. As long as the sport keeps increasing, incrementally in large numbers like it has, that's something that we're going to have to deal with. So, and I don't look for us to be building any more new lakes as far as to spread those people out there. So I really don't see the way things are trending right now and the way things are going in the sport. I don't see any other reality unfolding other than the fact that 50 years from now, our lakes are going to be unbelievably crowded. The bass are going to have a tremendous amount of fishing pressure on them. I don't see how they can get any easier to catch. I think that eventually what you're going to have is, when you have such a tremendous amount of fishing pressure on the lake, that you're going to see the quality of fishing begin to decline. And then what happens, I think, as the quality of fishing declines, then the interest in fishing, falls off too. So, maybe that'll take care of it. Maybe it'll get to the point where fishing gets so frustrating and tough that people just don't want to do it, and they quit doing it, and the lakes begin to recover. I don't know what the answer is to it, to be honest with you guys, but I know that it's something that's coming. I don't see it just leveling off. I don't see the interest in fishing leveling off. We've got so many different ways that we're exposing fishing right now. Through different social media outlets, are getting a lot of people interested in it that never was. And I realize that we have a lot of different types of water. We got farm ponds, we got rivers, creeks, lakes, that type of stuff. But I guess I'm talking specifically more about the man-made impoundments. And some with the creeks and rivers too, because one of the things that I've noticed too is, if you've got any type of a river access that has any river portion that has public access, it gets a tremendous amount of fishing pressure too. It also gets a tremendous amount of littering on those areas too. So I don't know, guys. I'm just curious to hear what everybody thinks out there. I'm not real optimistic, to be honest with you, on what the future of fishing looks like 50 years from now. Unless we, do something to protect it more than what we're doing it. I don't know what those protections really are. So, and yeah, I'd just be curious to everybody's thoughts on there. I think about this quite a bit. I mean, everybody knows that watches my channel. You guys know that one of the reasons I love Lake Mead is because you don't see any people on it out there. That's just the way I like to fish. Some people, it doesn't bother them to have a ton of people fishing around them, or having to wait in line for 30 minutes to launch your boat or anything like that. So anyway, shoot me some comments. Let me know what you guys think about that. Is this something, do you guys think that this is do you guys think we're loving the sport to death? It's growing to the point where it's going to get so big it hurts it? Or do you think we can absorb that? Or do you think it's going to make it better for everybody? Or do you think it's going to make the planet a better place? I don't know, but just let me know what you guys think about that. So anyway, just wanted to toss that out there, guys. Again, a little bit off the wall subject, but That's what we do here on the channels. We like to sort of give off the wall topics once in a while. And if you like them, please subscribe to the channel. I'll be putting some more out down the road, and we'll check back later with another one. See y'all.